let's get today's show rolling. I got quite a few things I want to talk about tonight. I shouldn't be here with you too long, but just a couple things I want to discuss. I want to discuss the victim mentality. That's going to be the theme of the night. The victim mentality. Okay? And how a lot of these people out here are imaginary victims. It's all in their mind. All right? Now, before we get to that, first, I want to get into a local issue, a DC issue. Like I said, it's a local issue for me. But it could be used as an example for other big cities in America. Okay? So, recently, there was a survey done amongst a couple hundred restaurant owners in Washington, D.C. And they were asked about the probability of their business experiencing success in the near future. And the answers were actually pretty shocking. Okay, they were pretty shocking. Now, to me, I don't know about what you guys think, but to me, what was discovered in this survey is very alarming. Okay? It's very alarming, but it's not shocking necessarily to me because honestly, I called this shit a long time ago, right? I called it a long time ago when DC residents decided to pass this bill called Initiative 82, okay? And it's a bill that was overwhelmingly passed by DC residents that basically had a major impact for the for payments for tipped employees, meaning employees that work in like restaurants, bars, and stuff like that. People who operate off tips. All right. So, anyways, let's get to that. Let's get to this news clip real quick, and we'll get this thing going. All right. Let's go.
Rising food costs and tipped wage.
All right, hopefully that audio's good. Let's get it.
Rising food costs and tipped wage increases. These are just some of the reasons that a lot of restaurants in the district are struggling right now. And now, a dire warning.
Yeah, the Restaurant Association Metropolitan Washington says more than 2 in 5 D.C. restaurants could close this year. 7 News' John Gonzalez is live for us in Georgetown. And John, restaurants are under a combination of pressures right now.
That's absolutely right. And we can tell you that, the Restaurant Association here surveyed more than 200 restaurants between January and February, and many owners gave their input before these sweeping federal cuts. Now, take a look. The survey shows more than 40% of full-service casual restaurants will likely close by the end of the year. By the numbers, more than 51% of restaurants expect conditions to dwindle this.
Do you guys see this? Do you guys see this? 44, that's almost half. Almost half of the restaurant owners in Washington, D.C. believe that their restaurants are likely to close down in Washington, D.C. Okay? Over half of the restaurant owners expect conditions to dwindle. Okay? Pay attention, bro. It may not sound like much, but this is very serious. Let's go.
This year, that is a 21% increase from RAMW's survey last year. Now, 62% of restaurants surveyed reported lower profits in 2024. Now, on top of inflation and changes with the federal workforce, many restaurant owners believe increased labor costs from Initiative 82 and other wage increases have hurt the industry tremendously. In July, tipped worker wages in the city will go up from $10 to $12 an hour. A $2 increase each year will continue for the next several years. Sean Townsend tells me it's time to have an honest conversation with council members who do not see eye to eye with restaurant owners.
multiple arguments to whether or not Initiative 82 has an impact or not, right? It's fair argument. However, I think once the numbers start to speak for themselves, that's something that we just can't deny. And what our members are saying is there's now data that directly correlates the increase in labor costs to the bottom line.
Townsend tells me he is 100% on board, fully supports tipped workers having a fair and decent living wage, but he says that this law needs to be re-examined. The Restaurant Association is working with local leaders to try to figure out any policy changes that can benefit both sides here.
All right, so there we have it. Now, once again, okay, this just goes to show you how uninformed most residents in heavily leaning Democrat jurisdictions actually are. Okay? Like I said, DC residents overwhelmingly voted for a law called Initiative 82. Okay? And what Initiative 82 did was basically take minimum wage for tipped service employees from like $2 or $3 an hour, which is what it's always traditionally been, up to eventually, by 2027, standard non-tipped employee minimum wages. Okay? So now currently, minimum wage in DC for non-tipped employees is $17.50 an hour. Okay? So this means by 2027, waiters and bartenders in DC will most likely be getting damn near $20 an hour plus tips. And thanks to President Trump, those tips will be untaxed.
Look at my African American over here. Look at him. Are you the greatest? You know what I'm talking about?
But on a serious note though, what I want y'all to do is, I'm gonna pull this up, right? I'm gonna pull up the actual law. I want y'all to take a look at this just so you know I'm not bullshitting you. Look at this shit. Look at this. All right, can y'all see that? Can y'all see that? Let me make that screen larger. All right, so it says Washington, D.C. Initiative 82, increased minimum wage for tipped employees. All right, so this was voted on back in 2022. All right, and as you can see here, 132,000 people, which was 73.9%, voted yes for this law. So this is what it's designed to do, all right? Just in case you didn't believe what I was telling you. So it says Initiative 82 was designed to increase minimum wage for tipped employees from $5.05 to match the minimum wage of non-tipped employees by 2027. As of July 2021, the minimum wage for non-tipped employees was $15.20 per hour. The initiative establishes the following minimum wages for tipped employees: $6 per hour by January 1st, $8 per hour by July 1st, 2023, $10 per hour by July 1st, 2024, $12 per hour by July 1st, 2025, and $14 per hour by July 1st, 2026, okay? And equal to non-tipped employee minimum wage by July 1st, 2027. Okay, so like I said, 2025, minimum wage is already $17.50 an hour. Okay, so by 2027, it's probably going to be closer to $20 an hour. Okay, so there are several reasons why this is a horrible idea. I mean, number one, it's going to cause prices to go through the roof, which they already are in DC to begin with. Okay? And that's been causing less and less people to patronize these businesses. Anyone who knows anything about running a business knows that your highest cost is payroll. Who in their right mind at this point would open up a restaurant in Washington, D.C., when in the near future, the very near future, you'll have to pay everybody at the restaurant at least $20 an hour plus tips. I mean, it would be just plain stupid. It would be stupid at this point when you can open up a restaurant right across the line in Maryland or Virginia and have over 50% less in payroll costs. Actually, more than 50% less in payroll costs. Because in Maryland and Virginia, it's still like $4 or $5 an hour. I mean, it's common sense. But see, progressives think that they're too smart for their own good. Okay, low-paying jobs aren't in existence, or they aren't designed for you to be able to buy a home and support a family of 3. They are designed for young people in or fresh out of college. They're designed for like teenagers. They're designed for failed adults who are looking to build their way into a second chance in life, or for people who want to work part-time and make extra money. It's that simple. But you got these left-wing nutcases who think they're God's gift to society, who think that all people's problems are tied to minimum wage, when in fact they aren't. See, America is a meritocracy. Okay, it's a meritocracy-based system, which means the more you build yourself and the more you obtain credible certs or degrees or experiences in some cases, the more you earn in society. Minimum wage is the bottom of the barrel. And it should be used more so as a metric to your status in society and what you need to do to improve, as opposed to some unearned privilege and income that everyone gets just for fucking breathing. I mean, shit. To hell with the restaurant shit. Regular minimum wage shouldn't be as high as it is. $17.50 an hour for minimum wage is of no benefit to anyone. Yeah, it may seem like you're making more money, but in actuality, you aren't, because the cost of everything else goes up. Childcare goes up, groceries go up, most retail goods go up, even rent. So yeah, anytime anyone ever asks me about minimum wage, my answer is to always either say lower it or leave it as is. Because an increase only causes higher prices on everything else. All right, this whole restaurant situation in DC is living proof. Okay, as we stated, almost half are on their way to closure by the end of the year. So there's that.